And it was like one of the things that I was shown. Um, a friend of mine worked in the bookshop of the Philosophical Research Center, Manly P. Hall, who's a philosopher. Oh, he's deceased now. But I was given access to his library. So I was studying herbology at the time, and I was able to hold a 16th century Culpeper original manuscript written by Culpeper. And because of my intuitive gift, I could hold it and get more than the written words. And I had to read it slow because I tend to go through things pretty fast. I had to read it slow because they didn't use the same alphabet that we use today. So I had to kind of figure out like the F's and the S's and stuff. And he had assigned a planet to each herb. And so I'm going, this is interesting because I have never studied astrology. It's a science that I respect, but I don't know anything about. But this got me. Why? And so I really worked with that. And all of a sudden, again, and I went to sleep and got a little bit of help, I started seeing a correlation. And it's like, okay, cinnamon is ruled by Mars, which is hot and fiery. And watercress is by the moon, which is watery and cool. So I'm going, okay. So I worked out this whole thing of if you've got a fever, you don't want to take cinnamon, you want to take something from the moon. And so I correlated all of this into the essential oils so that it would be easier to have maybe a second herb that you would work with aside from whatever else you're working with. And again, it's all online. And I've got a whole section on chakras, and I went through and worked out charts so that you could go and you look at, let's say that you're having stomach flu. So you look at stomach flu and you see the chakra that's involved. But then let's say that you're really feeling kind of depressed before you had the flu. So now we go over to the next chart and we look at depression. What chakra is that? And most of the time you're going to find it's the same chakra that we're dealing with. And then you will see which essential oil or which herb that you want to work with to balance that out. And so all of this is online. Again, it's all free.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
And I'm working on courses that I am going to be offering. And the book of the letters, that's going to be available in an ebook soon. I decided to re-release it and put it back out there. And when I had the accident, everything stopped. So this time I'm going to just put it out in ebook form.
That's good.
And it'll be available on my website. And also because of the nature of the book, it's not like you have to read the whole thing. It's like you could read something and say, okay, this one I want to meditate on, and just print that one out. Because it'll all be, you can print from it. There's one like Bow to None, teaches you about your own inner power and taking that back. That's a whole other series just out of that one letter that's going to be coming out. And because that's what we need today. One of the reasons why we have so many problems is not understanding our own. We're trying to take somebody else's power.
True.
Instead of recognizing we have our own.
Wow.
Yeah. And so again, everything is focused on how. You know, getting to that point.
And starting in here instead of going, help me do this, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely.
Blah, blah. Everyone is always asking for someone to help them so they don't have to do it, or, you know.
That was another thing. I'm glad that you brought that up. It was like, okay, with Jesus, I had this like, oh, please, you know, I just had a problem with the way it was presented. And one of the letters came through and it said, he told you that you were my brothers and sisters.
That's right, that's right.
And he told you that those who have eyes can see and those who have ears can hear. And so he was saying something a little bit different than what we read. And it said, do you believe that anybody could go to school and get a college degree for you and hand you the piece of paper and you would be qualified to go out and do that job. And they said, then why do you think that somebody's death would be able to teach you how to live? And so this is the way that they turn things around. They also said in the Ten Commandments, if you would look at it as it was originally written, it was written, when you have love in your heart, thou shalt not want to. Not the old thou shalt not. Because when you tell somebody not to do it, they're usually going to go out and do it to figure out why not. But they're giving us a goal. They're saying, you know, when you live this way, you won't want to do this. That's your goal. When you read the original, they, you know, right now I can't think of the name of it, but they found an original manuscript in Aramaic. But anyway, what happened was I was taking a class, and he had some of the interpretations that they'd come up with, and I was just blown away because so much of it sounds like the letters. And, oh, and also the letters from day one were signed Chezrealiaz. 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 It took me 5 years because there's certain things they just aren't going to tell me.
Okay.
It took me 5 years to figure out that that might mean Christ realization.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And they actually reference 10 Commandments. I mean, they're actually referencing historical documents and stuff on our planet.
Yeah.
That's relates maybe so you can interpret, or I wonder if they
think,
actually have, it's a universal.
Well, a lot of the original letters, some of them I did include in the book, were for me because these were my stumbling blocks.
Right.
These were the
So
things that I didn't understand, and I always wanted to.
Okay.
I had faith that there was something, and I felt a need to find something. And so I have studied, I mean, I'll tell you, you probably cannot mention many philosophies that I haven't at least poked into, and to try to understand.
See which word grabbed you.
And out of all of that, I found that everybody.
They're all connected.
Well, you know,
find that?
and I think it was the letters that, or no, it was just a message that I got, and it came through, and it said, study everything that you can get your hands on. No, this was the Ancient Essenes. That's where I got that. From the Ancient Essenes, there was a line in one of the books, and it says, study everything that you can get your hands on, and find the pearl of wisdom, throw away the dogma, and go to the next. And I had finally gotten, when I found that book, because that was at Manly P. Hall's place also. When I finally got to that book, I had my string of pearls, but I didn't know it. And you're all of a sudden you realize they match. You know, it's beautiful.
That's amazing.
And so I was able to stop looking at dogma and start really focusing in here, which is where our answers are.